Okay, so we're going to start this video with, as any good video does, with setting up the connection to our AL block. In this case, note the default IP address is here in the bottom left, and you'll see my setup here. The typical setup is to plug this directly into a laptop. I have a dongle in my case here, or if you have a network card, then we go to your network connections. In my case, I'm right-clicking on my dongle icon here to go and selecting properties to get to Internet Protocol version 4, which I highlight, go to the properties. And then from there, I'm choosing static IP. The static IP has to be in the same range as the block. In this case, I made mine 192.168.1.111 and 255 three times with a 0 as the subnet, and you hit OK. Now we are able to connect to the block with one of our software tools to change the IP setting to match your network. In the web browser, we're going to put in the IP address /web/subscribe, and this is going to open us up to the web server for the AL1426. What we want to do to start with, especially if we're going to be using OPC UA, just go to parameter. We're going to click on IoT setup. We're going to enable the OPC UA server. Make sure that we click on the pencil to write that setting. Now, there's no response back, but if we click the refresh button here, you'll see that it does come back as enabled. Next, we're going to click on IO-Link Master, and you'll see that we start here with port 1. Now the interesting thing here is that by default, the AL1426 has all of its ports set to provide 0 milliamps. And the short of that is that any sensor you plug in without changing these settings here is going to cause a short circuit overload LED to flash red on the port that you stick any sensor to. It literally is set to provide no current. So we're going to make those changes here. Also of note, you'll see at the top of each port, there's the output select control. By default, this is being controlled through the field bus over Ethernet with a PLC. If we wanted to control that via OPC UA or REST API and JSON commands, you can click on this here. And then the most important part to actually start seeing data is we want to make these changes here for each one of the ports. And each one of these, you're going to make this change, and then you're going to hit the little pencil button like we did before. So in this case, I can control outputs with OPC UA now via port 1. Down here, let's say we want to fire up to 2 amps. All right, so that's going to be 2000 milliamps. Do a copy. So I can do that again, hit the pencil. And do a copy or paste there. So we're going to do a paste there of the 2000. We're going to hit that pencil again, and we're going to go down, and after that, at port 2, we can decide on how to control the outputs. And if we keep that 2000 there, or 1000, or whatever you would like as your max current, we can go through and we can individually write this to the port. And then you can write the max current for each port individually and get that set up so that you're not going to see fault LEDs when you plug into the ports on the master. And it's the same thing again, port 3, port 4, port 5. Now this can all be done here individually. This is via the web server. You can then, once you make all those changes, right, the next and last thing you might want to do is to go up to field bus setup, and you're going to change the network settings for the AL1426. I don't do that as my first step because when you do that, if you change this into a IP range that is not 192.168.1, you lose connection and then you have to go to your network settings. So if you get right into the 1.250, we can make all the necessary changes. We can then update the IP address, subnet, if you need the gateway, and then this pencil right here at the very top writes that whole collection of fields below it to the AL1426, and then you can put it onto your network, or you can update your network card on your laptop so that you're in the same range, and you can continue on. After making all of these changes too, I would say it's always best practice that you cycle power on the master, bring it back up. You can jump into the web server with a new IP address and just make sure that that new IP address is set, that your settings are good, and then you can move forward and start testing. The last thing to note here in the video is the steps we've gone through. I really like that we have a web server here on this master that allows us to make the changes we need to in order to make it function. Additionally, these same changes, they could be made through the Moneo software that IFM provides as well. All the same settings. I just like to keep it as simple as I can on setting up a master, given the choice. Thank you, and have a good rest of your day.